This week, I'm talking about how to decrease your bounce rate. That's right, decrease your bounce rate. That's this week on Think Tank Tuesday. Hi, I'm Potratz, and this week I'm talking about decreasing your bounce rate. Oh, well, hold on. Don't be saying, oh, come on, Paul, that's so 2005, that's old school. I don't know what it is. We always get so excited about new technology that we forget the basics. We forget basics of how to use the phone and how to decrease our bounce rate. So this week, I'm going to give you a series of steps of how to decrease your bounce rate. And the number one, in fact, I'm going to start with number one, what I feel is the most important and probably my biggest pet peeve. Are you ready for this? You're online, you're doing a search, you see a display ad or you see some type of ad and it has a price point. Listen to me, guys, pay attention to this one. It has a price point, and let's say that you're a car dealer and that price point says something like $219 a month for that Toyota Camry. You click that ad for $219 a month to land on the website, and nowhere to be found can you find a Toyota Camry for $219 a month. I've talked about this many a times, and when people say, oh, all you got to do is go to the payment calculator and no, you advertise $219 a month on your display ad. I clicked that ad, I came to your website. It better be on that website. Otherwise, I feel like you hooked me, crooked me, and tricked me, and I'm gonna bounce off your website. All right, so that's the number one step. Hey, before I get ahead of myself, maybe I ought to tell you what a bounce rate is or what causes a bounce rate. So it's really simple. Individual just searches for your website, or they click one of your ads, they come to your website and they land on one page. So they stay on that one page, whether it's 1 second, 10 seconds, or a minute or 2 minutes, it doesn't make a difference, and they leave your website. That's considered a bounce because they did not go to another page. So when I'm talking about bounce rates and measuring your bounce rates, I will give you a word of caution that you want to make sure that you are really looking at the bounce rate, because if you're running campaigns that are to a specific page and that page really answers the question, answers the message, and you're just as a destination, then your bounce rate will go up because chances are they're not clicking other pages. So that's a bounce rate. And bounce rates are measured differently. So if you're looking at your website analytics and then you look at Google Analytics, it seems like the two rarely ever match. So which one should you look at? I'd say pick one, like Google Analytics, and focus on that, and do not worry about the analytics that are on your website, because a lot of times analytics on your website is what the company created. It's the homegrown analytics that they created in their own algorithm, and it will just make you want to drink really stiff drinks. So that's what bounce rate is. All right, so number two, target the right audience. I know, while that sounds really basic, but it's important, because there is companies, vendors, or just air that we are not targeting, and I wouldn't say we because I don't want to be included in that bunch, but companies, others. They're targeting the wrong audience. They're not being specific in the target. And what I mean by that, by targeting the wrong audience, is maybe they're not using negative keywords. Maybe they're not listing some of the URLs with a no-follow bot. And what happens is you get individuals that come to your website that didn't mean to be there in the first place, and they leave. So I hope that makes sense. If not, just ask a question and I'll respond to it. All right, so that's number two. Number three, work on your pages. Take a look at the page. So many times we take a look at the page on our desktop computer when we're looking at a website, approving a website, designing a website, whatever the case might be, we're looking at it on a desktop computer. Well, when's the last time somebody visited your website on a desktop computer? It doesn't happen so often. In fact, probably 60 to 70 to 80% of your traffic is on a mobile device, so therefore, you should be looking at your website on a mobile device. So that's number three. Number four, since we're on that about mobile websites and mobile devices, how big is the font? Does the font make sense? Is it the right size? What colors are we using? Is it easy to read? Is your website automatically loading? Can they scroll? So look at those different factors of the page. Again, is it easy to read? Is it easy to navigate? Is it easy to follow through? The fonts, well, you get my point. Hopefully you do. So, and I said this is a random list. This is not a science project. This is just common sense. Number five, which is important because we have absolutely No patience at all, that we can't even wait 30 minutes for the pizza to be delivered to us. I don't know what a pizza has to do with your website, but you get my point. Slow load times will drive people away. And not only will it drive people away, SEO will suffer. That's what I'm trying to say. So test it, check it. All you have to do is do a search for like Google speed test, Google how fast is my website, whatever. I don't know what to search. Just search something. I mean, be a search master and find out where do you need to improve on the load time. So some things you really want to pay attention to is, do you have videos on your website? If so, you really got to shrink those, and you want to load those videos after the person comes in. What about the graphics? So many times we throw these big, huge images up there that we see it and it's like 4 megs, 5 megs, or 20 megs, whatever. You want to keep those images really below, as small as possible. That's my point. And then the final part of load times, do you have chat on your website? If you have chat, you've got to be very cautious that a lot of the chat providers will want to load their chat code first, which will slow down your website load time. So there's a lot of things to look at when it comes to load times, but it's just the point is, tick, tick. Time's up. All right, let's move to number 6. This is one of the best things that you could do for your website. Are you ready? Because I'm getting ready to get geared up and get excited about it. Videos. Put videos on your website. But again, reference the last one that I talked about videos, and put images on your website. And please don't put those images of that chick that I see all over the world that's sitting there holding the keys. Put real images on there of real people that happen to be at your business, your company. Make it real, people. Come on. So here's the thing though. When you put the videos and you put the pictures, make sure they're relevant to the content on the page. That's what you want to do. Because when someone's coming to your website, don't be a nameless, faceless company. Create that relevance. Create that synergy. Create that lusting passion. No, not that. But you get my point. Just let them relate to you, know who you are, like you, appreciate you, and quit using stock images and stock video. That's like a shortcut. Yeah, it's not good. Let's move to number 7. This is one of my favorites, and it's Betty. It's not Betty, it's better. Better copy and storytelling. Someone goes to the page, and so many times on the page, we talk about ourselves. Me, 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 me. There's a time and a place, and that time and a place is when it says about me at the top of the website, or it says about us. That's when you talk about that. The individual, that person, that consumer, that shopper, that individual is looking for information to help them. They want to improve their life. They want to do something. They want to look sexier. They want to look slimmer. They want to check out really fast, whatever it is. So make sure that you have really good storytelling of how it's going to benefit them. So storytelling is important. So here's another one, and I'm going to mix this in too. Well, actually, no, I'm not. Let's just go to number 8 now. Storytelling is one of all of its own that you need to pay attention to. So number 8, make it easy to read the website. So many times I go to a website and you see and it's like, whoa, what am I going to read? In case you forgot, or maybe you haven't read a newspaper lately or a magazine, but keep in mind, how do the newspapers do it? Because we go to the newspaper and what do? We look at the headlines and we scroll the headlines and we go, not interested, not interested, not interested, interested. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure you have the interested, and granted, it can't all be interesting, but you want to have headlines before the paragraph and make sure that those headlines are a little larger, a little bolder, and they stand out so an individual can go through and they can read through it and they can pick out the things that are important to them. All right, so now let's move to number 9. Boy, this list is getting long. This one's really simple and it kind of works back to using the headlines. Are you ready? And it starts with a B. Take a guess. Are you guessing? It's called bullet points. Use bullet points. There's been many studies done, and us as individuals, we love bullet points. I mean, are you one of those individuals that create lists? Boy, I know a few of those. I live with one. And she's always creating lists. Every Saturday and Sunday morning, she creates lists. That's another video. But anyway, my point is bullet points, bullet points, bullet points. We like to get our information quickly. At least a lot of us do. So use bullet points for anything that should stand out. And by the way, you should definitely have an FAQ section on your website. I just threw that in. That's not one of the numbers, but you get my point. All right. So now let's move to the last and the final one. Granted, there's more, but this is enough to get you started. And the last and final one, which I think is number We'll call it number 10, so we have a top 10 list. Create landing pages where you're getting a lot of traffic, or let me rephrase that. Create landing pages for high volume keywords. What I'm really trying to say is if you're getting a lot of traffic to your website for some type of specific service that you offer, specific vehicle that you're selling, something specific, you want to have a standalone landing page. Don't drop them into this long laundry list. Do a standalone landing page that answers the questions, has the FAQ, has a lot of different directions for that individual to go. Keep in mind, I told you this earlier. Create a list of questions that individuals ask you, not having to do with price, and make sure that you've answered all of those elements on the landing page. What you're really doing is you're creating the ultimate salesperson, except it's called a landing page that answers all the questions an individual would have. Well, not all the questions, but the majority of the questions, because you want to make sure they get in touch with you. And I know I said number 10, but I just had another thing that just popped into my head that I definitely got to share. So we're going to make this a top 11 list. Yeah, we're moving to number 11 now. It's create compelling call to actions. So many times we forget the compelling call to action, that we just have something on there that makes no sense, that no one is ever going to fill out, that no one ever had any interest in, and we just threw it on the page for whatever reason. So again, compelling call to actions. And by all means, make sure that your name's on there, your phone number's on there, they can text you, they can call you, they can Facebook message you. Let them contact you the way they want. All right, that's this week's tip, and I'll see you next week. That was a lot of tips, and I'll see you next week.